unlike most people on YouTube who make videos about them learning Spanish, like you learned Spanish actually like in the traditional way, correct?
Yeah.
So you followed it in school for 5 years, and after you did it, you continued studying, and then you went to this big trip to South America, correct?
Yeah, pretty much. I wouldn't say I reached fluency through school, but it got me to like a high advanced level, I'd say, or like a decently advanced level. And then I took a gap year. So then during my gap year, I say I reached fluency. And then obviously, yeah, at the end of my gap year, I went to South America, went to Peru and Colombia for a month. So yeah.
Ok, podemos hablar un poco en español, así como así los gente entienden tu nivel, porque
Vale, vale.
es muy
Muchas
alto.
gracias.
Pero la cosa interesante es que en YouTube los gente odian el sistema de escuela, odian el sistema de aprender. Todos los gente dicen que es muy mal, ¿no? Pero vos, ¿qué es tu opinión? Porque te sirvió bastante, ¿no? El sistema de
Sí.
la escuela.
La verdad es que sí, cuando tenía 14 años tenía un profesor que me ayudó mucho y la verdad es que él me hizo darme cuenta de lo bueno que es aprender español y sí, la verdad es que él me ayudó mucho, pero antes de eso, la verdad es que yo diría que no tenía tanto interés en el idioma. Siempre he tenido amigos de países hispanohablantes porque crecí en Londres y en Londres hay mucha gente de países hispanohablantes, especialmente Colombia y Ecuador. Así que siempre he estado como rodeado de gente de países hispanohablantes, pero sí, la verdad es que tenía un profesor genial que a mí como me mostró la luz, ¿no? Y
Sí.
sí,
Ok, ahora los entienden tu nivel. Volvimos a England.
vale.
So yeah, so Mike Ben, he did a good job at asking you about your travels, so I won't re-indulge in that conversation. But I wanted to figure out like this community because it really intrigued me. So
Yeah.
like just go full infomercial style, like let us
Yeah.
know.
No worries. So
What's up? What's
basically,
up with that? Because I checked out the website. But yeah, let's hear it
yeah. So
from your mouth.
basically, what I wanted to do was obviously, like I said, in my gap year, I kind of reached like an advanced level in Spanish, and then during my gap year, I reached the level of fluency. And I feel like a lot of the tips that I picked up during that kind of intermediate, I would say I was maybe high intermediate as well. You could argue, depending on what people would say a high intermediate is.
Yeah, yeah.
I just felt like I picked up a lot of really good habits and a lot of good tips during the year because I experimented with a lot of things like different podcasts, different ways of listening, different ways of speaking, and just loads of different things that I tried. And I found what really worked for me in a good system. And I felt like I've obviously posted videos about it and I've got good feedback. And I thought I would like to sort of create a community dedicated. I always thought I'd like to create a community dedicated towards that kind of intermediate to advanced and fluent level that I found myself in at the end of my academic season.
Yeah.
And I felt like, yeah, I felt like I could really help people at that stage. And then I created obviously the intermediate to advanced course, and I've created a subjunctive course, like breaking down all the information that I've sort of picked up on the subjunctive. And yeah, within the community as well, like I do calls every week now, so you can jump on and no matter what level you are, you can have a conversation with me. And there's a topic that we go through each week, so you can read up on the topic or get some vocab ready for it. And then also there's like a chat function, so you can ask me questions of like if you're struggling with study, advice, motivation, whatever else, you can just pop a question in there, and I'm always active in it. And then there's loads of other things going on. Like there's sections for you to post if you learn something during the week, you want to post it in the community, or I learned this is another way of using the subjunctive, or this is another grammatical point I didn't know before. You can post it in there. I just really like the idea of creating a community where also it would help me because I'm not perfect with my Spanish. Like I'm
Yeah.
fluent, but I'm not perfect, and I want to still improve. And I feel like it would just I feel like it's just a really cool way to get people who are really serious and like enjoy Spanish to get together and post information, jump on calls and make friends, and then also have my courses in there with the tips that I've learned. That was always my idea behind it. So yeah.
No, it sounds dope. It sounds really cool. It also like I could see myself really wanting something like that because like for people who learn Spanish, I feel like especially like outside of school, also like what you did like in your gap year, it's not like something you just do, like it's not like a TV show. You actually really get obsessed with like how to do it, like
Mm-hmm.
strategies, like the
100%.
grind, like finding these new channels. Like it's actually like you put so much energy into it that you also like leave with a lot of energy that you want to give to other people or you want to give to the community or stuff, which I think is why like the communities thrive so much on Reddit and Discord.
Mm.
Because I also feel like you also get these ideas of how you think it could be better and stuff like that. So really, really cool. I think a lot of people um feel like they really would like a community for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so how many people do you have right now in the community?
There's 24, I think. But yeah, it's a mix of people. It's people that I've coached. Like before I started this community, I did online coaching just through my YouTube channel. So people that I coached, I've got them in there, friends from school who studied Spanish with me. It's sort of a range of people. And yeah, obviously people have joined from my YouTube channel as well. So it's kind of a range. But yeah, I think I still want it to grow quite a lot. I feel like my YouTube channel hasn't like I haven't got as many like eyes on it recently as I had beforehand. Maybe because I've changed my content a little bit more towards like grammar and more like just pure tips for intermediate learners. And I feel like a lot of my audience before was like Spanish speakers who were interested in this guy from London who could speak Spanish fluently. So I've kind of changed my audience a little bit. Maybe that's impacted things on my channel, but I do still really believe in the community and I think it can really help people. So I'm just trying to like put the message out there still and see if people will be interested because the people that have joined, I feel like have benefited quite a lot from it. And I'm still constantly like trying to find ways to make it better for everyone within the community because obviously I don't want people to like A, waste their money and B, just like feel like I'm scamming them. Like I don't want to do
Yeah,
that to people.
yeah, yeah.
I want to help people. You know what I mean? I'm not doing this to just make money. Like I want to really, really
Yeah,
help
the
people.
community, like a good,
Yeah.
strong community of like, it's also like a cool amount, like 20, 30 people. You can really like really feel like it's like one team, you know? So yeah, you mentioned that you switched your content style. So basically, like originally, like your first video, like the first like, which I assume is what you're referring to, that got a lot of attention from the Spanish speakers, is like this interview you did on the street, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I had a video before that got like 160,000 views, 150,000 views.
Really?
But it was just literally just me. Like it was the first video I ever did speak in Spanish. It was like the first time that I ever sat down and posted a video on YouTube of me speaking Spanish. Literally just 5 minutes explaining why I decided to learn Spanish. And that video, yeah, obviously kind of blew up. And then after that, I had the one of me getting interviewed on like national TV in Peru when I was out there. So those two videos combined, like my two like kind of blow up videos.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but obviously both of those were massively geared towards like a Spanish speaking audience because the first one was like my first video speaking Spanish on YouTube. So everyone was clicking on it, like wanting to see how good my level was. And then like there's a load of Spanish speakers who are like, who is this English guy who's 19? Like, how good is
Yeah,
this Spanish? And you just click on
yeah,
it and watch and be like, oh well, it's quite good. I'll give him a like or whatever. And that's how it kind of blew up. And then my other one was just again a bunch of Peruvians, like literally loads of, like I think like
yeah.
70, 80% of the audience were Peruvians. Just a bunch of
Yeah.
Peruvians, like, who is this white English guy? Like, why is he in Peru?
Yeah.
And like what happened with this interview? So yeah, that again, both the videos that kind of blown up my channel aren't really the kind of audience that I think will be suited, obviously, for my community because I'm not trying to help native
Yeah,
speakers not
yeah.
more native. You know what I mean?
How,
Like
how about them speaking English?
I did think about that, but I just think I can't teach English because it's just my
No, yeah,
language. Like I
yeah.
don't know how to. Someone asked me why do we say it like this? It's just that's just how we say it. You know what I mean? I haven't found a way like
Yeah.
grown up with the language. You know what I mean? Whereas with Spanish, I've learned these things that maybe don't make sense to us English speakers that I've kind of found a way to rationalize or be able to use myself. You know what I mean? So I feel like I can actually help Spanish learners instead of English learners. So yeah, I have tried to think of a way of like trying to get the fluent Spanish speakers into the community, but I'm struggling at the moment because I don't want to change the niche. I want to keep it towards helping Spanish speakers or Spanish learners, but at the same time, I want to somehow get a way of
Yeah,
incorporating
yeah, yeah.
fluent
Well, a
speakers
big
into
part
it.
of like I never really got too into it, but a lot of people are really into this like crosstalk thing. I don't know if you know it. Do
Okay.
you know crosstalk?
I don't know what crosstalk is,
It's
but is it like
like
a concept where like you just jump online and like it's just someone trying to learn English and someone trying to learn Spanish and they jump
yeah,
in?
but basically yeah, yeah. So it could be that. But it's also just like so if I, for example, spoke English and then I speak to a Mexican guy, he speaks in Spanish and I speak in English.
Okay.
So you speak in your native language for like a long time until you can have like a really fluent conversation, and then I think you end up switching or something like that.
It's
Um,
interesting.
but yeah, okay, so you're trying to find ways to create more and more value for your members.
Yeah, exactly. And just trying to also get out to more people so more people can join. Because I feel like one way that it's going to become more valuable is when there's more people inside it who are posting information and like helping each other out and giving each other tips and advice as they learn and grow. So yeah, I kind of wanted to kind of keep growing in a sense.
You mentioned coaching, so why did you started coaching? Like you had that video of you posting, and then how did you start coaching from there? What was like the steps you took?
I literally just would like at the end of all of my videos, I'd have a link to a Calendly thing so you could like book a free call with me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
literally all of my videos would just say like, by the way, at some point in the video, I'd be like, by the way, if you're interested in like helping having help with your conversational Spanish, you can just book a free call with me. The link in the description, and then people would book. And then yeah, from that's basically just how I would get clients because then they would book the free call and then I'd explain to them what I would offer and the price and whatever else, and then they could decide whether they wanted it or not, and then sort of go from there.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
Very entrepreneurial guy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah,
Cool, man. Nah,
yeah.
that's really dope. Um, that's cool. And who helped you make like the whole, because it's actually like if it's not the websites. Like, did you make this yourself? Because it's quite
It
advanced
took
in a
me
way.
it literally was my whole summer I spent on this website, like on the community. I did it completely myself. I had no help. I mean, I had
Wow.
one of my clients who I used to coach, who was my first client actually, and he's a really good guy. I kind of added more value to my coaching as I went along, but I kept the price the same for him. And
Yeah.
he was my first client. He's a lovely guy. And I think now we're kind of like friends, and he's like helping me with the community. He's been giving me ideas to help it improve it, and he's within it as well, still learning Spanish. So he kind of like helps me alongside it, and he's the one who suggested like doing the live call sessions every week.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I have him helping me, but like I've literally set this completely up myself, alongside his help as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
No, it's cool if you are open to feedback and you're an open person, like you can also keep improving the service so it keeps getting more
yeah,
valuable to the people. So right now
yeah.
you charge around 20, is it 20 euros or 20 pounds
It's
a month?
$15, so that's what, like £11,
Okay, yeah, 11
something,
pounds.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And how does it, if you have 20, like with the live sessions, how does that, is it not a complete chaos with like 24
No, because it's not
people?
actually not everyone actually joins. Like, and also, like, if I'm being honest, not everyone is completely active at the moment. I've got it's probably about, if I'm being honest, about 9 people who are really like active and will
Yeah,
post in the community, and maybe even less than that sometimes. I think some people can be quite shy to post in the community. Not everyone has joined the call, so you end up with like, I think my last one I had maybe 8 people in the call, along with myself, so maybe 7 other people. So it's actually a really nice number, because what you do is just have a little
yeah.
icebreaker, just get to know each other, and then I just pop a question, and everyone would answer the question individually, have a little short conversation with them, and then change the question, and do that for about half an hour. Um, and yeah, so it worked out quite well. But I think in the future, if the community did grow, obviously I'd have to find other ways of doing it. And we're already trying to. I was already speaking to my friend who's helped me with the community about trying to run a second live session where, because I'm going to get a lot busier when I start my studying at the start of
Of
October.
course.
And he was thinking of running one because we've got guys who are from the States and the time zones don't always match up. So he was going to run one on like a weekday evening in the States when it'll be like 3 in the morning for me. And just basically, he would just moderate it. People can just jump on and have a conversation. And he would
Cool.
just basically moderate it because he's not fluent in Spanish. So he couldn't like correct people or like manage a conversation himself. But he could just go there, be there as like a mediator. And people could come on and have a conversation and practice their Spanish. So there's other ideas of that I could do as it moves into the future if it does grow. But this is all ifs and buts at the moment. Yeah, I still need more people to sort of join and keep it growing.
Yeah, yeah. So it's more of a like it's actually funny because I I'm working alongside like a Spanish company right now, and I talked to them about a similar idea of it just being like a live stream, but that it's like you can just interrupt the streamer. So like that actually just like watching them do stuff, like watching them watch YouTube on in Spanish mode, but that you can just interrupt them and have full conversation and then just go back out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds cool.
But is it like with in yours, is it then just like how do you moderate it that it actually, for example, that 8 people join and that everyone's content with the level?
Well, I mean, like I've always marketed my community as more of an intermediate to advanced. So
Okay.
realistically, everyone who's in the community who's joining the calls is at an intermediate to advanced or near fluent level. So
Yeah.
everyone's comfortable with the conversations that we're having, or not necessarily comfortable. Like it's obviously out of people's comfort zones, like talking in Spanish. But
Yeah.
like some people obviously better than others. But that's not the point. Is just to get people speaking. You know what I mean? You don't have to be
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
And like I'm asking them, it's like I just have a turn having a conversation with each person in the call. So I'd have a conversation with one person, we'd have a little chat, and then I move on to the next person kind of thing. So they don't feel like, you know what I mean, they don't have to be as good as the next person, you know what I mean? It's just
Mm.
sort of tailor the conversation to their level and yeah, everyone is good enough to like at least say something in Spanish and like contribute in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also I noticed when I first started speaking, it was really just like it's just like actually speaking that will give you the confidence to speak. Because if you just
100%.
watch videos all day, yeah, you're gonna understand and get a good vocabulary and like understand the grammar and stuff. But without the actual act of speaking, you never really get fully comfortable
It's
with
so
it.
true. And I think that's such a big thing that people forget and miss out on when they get into that intermediate level is they always put off speaking and they just think the
Yeah.
more knowledge I'll gain, my speaking would sort of improve on the side, but it doesn't work like that. Like I'm telling you, I came out of school and had like my grammar to a really strong point. I literally never made mistakes to my
Yeah,
conjugations. Like
yeah, yeah.
my conjugations were really, really strong, but
I need to
when
get
it
on
came to speaking, I
that.
would make loads of mistakes to my conjugations. But my like if you tested me on them, I'd get every single one of them right. Like I
Mm.
never made mistakes from the age of like 16. I knew my conjugations off by heart, but speaking them was a whole different thing. And it's like all the knowledge that you gain, like you've got to relearn it when you speak. Like you've got to like reintegrate it into your speaking. Like it's a whole other skill that you've got to incorporate. And I think people
Mm.
kind of put off the speaking just thinking, oh yeah, I'll practice my grammar and it will get better. But unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that. And I find as well when you get to a certain point, I knew people in school who are at a strong level, and Like when you put it off to a certain point, your knowledge becomes so good in Spanish, you put off speaking even more because you're so embarrassed at how bad your speaking is because you know
Yeah.
all the mistakes you're making in your head. It's not like you're naive to it. You know, oh my God, I'm making a mistake every 5 words. And you know the mistakes you're making, but you're not, you know what I mean? It ends up making your speaking way worse than someone at an intermediate level because you're so embarrassed about it. So I find, yeah, it's a
It,
really big tip.
I
Speak in front
actually,
of people.
I had a funny I made a video about that because in Argentina I had to speak a lot like suddenly because I did no speaking and then I just jumped into speaking in like the deep end and like within I went up like confidence wise I don't know ability wise but confidence wise I went up like that and then just crashed even though like
Yeah.
probably my ability kept going up but at like week 6 or something I started realizing that I've just been making so many like stupid
Yeah.
mistakes and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
being like caught
Cautious of
like
them.
extra cautious and actually becoming worse because I wasn't as like fluent or as like
Fearless. Yeah.
instinctive.
100%. No, that's so true.
It's funny. That's okay. No, that's really cool. And it's definitely like I think it speaks to a lot of students.